If you want to find out how you can get the entirety of Iberia, all of North Africa, all the way into the Egyptian parts, all of the Balkans, and even Central Europe, together with Burgundy and the Lowlands, in just the first 20 years as Castile, then you're in the right place. I'm going to show you why Castile is the most powerful nation in the latest patch for EU4. And if we get 5,000 likes on this, I'll be doing the second part where we continue with the next 100 years of the campaign, form the Roman Empire, and take over both North and South America by the late 1500s. This is the first of 4 parts where we're going to be playing Castile all the way up to 1821. Since EU5 is around the corner, likely this year or beginning of next year, I want to give a proper farewell to one of my favorite nations in the game, Castile/Spain. So make sure to subscribe if you want to keep up with this particular run, and if you want to see your wallet ever again, buddy boy. After the Domination DLC, Castile became one of the toughest nations for the simple fact that it's not easy to navigate the initial disaster that they start off with, namely the Infantes of Aragon disaster. So do pay really close attention to that part, especially because if you don't know how to get out of that, you genuinely will have to restart the game. It's really, unfortunately, very bad. The rebels pretty much infinitely spawn until you get one stability and you get rid of the disaster. So that's why, first and foremost, we're going to be focusing on admin, and we're going to get a decent admin advisor too. I'm going to go for the stability cost modifier reduction advisor, which also gives +2 admin, so we get up to 8 admin, and we also have a little bit of an easier time increasing our stability, which is one of the requirements to get rid of this disaster. We'll talk about this more in a few seconds. For now, let's see our initial diplomatic situation. So we've got England, France, and Burgundy as rivals, not an issue. We're gonna rival back the Moroccans instead. Might as well do the French and the English, I guess. Is not gonna make much of a difference. We're not really gonna expand in the north too much at the start of the campaign. We're gonna focus on North Africa, consolidating our hold over Iberia through our mission tree primarily, because we can get unions over Aragon and Portugal fairly easily. And I'm also planning on expanding into the east, maybe even restore the Roman Empire if they're still around once we finish with our particular disaster. I would love to no CB them from day one, but unfortunately, like I mentioned before, Castile with the more recent patches is a lot more difficult, and if we do not navigate our Infantes of Aragon disaster properly, we will have to restart. So we cannot really afford a no CB on Byzantium for now. That being said, we also start with the factionalist nobility privilege for the nobles, which we have to get rid of because it is a pretty bad privilege. In order to get rid of it, we need to have 50% crownlands. So we start with 35% crownlands. We just need to get 15% more. That also means that we cannot give the +1 mana privilege from day one, which is an issue because we love the +1 mana privilege in this particular channel. I think I've given this for every country I've played as, with Castile being the only exception to this rule. So we'll give these privileges later down the line. For now, pay close attention to what I'm doing at the estates too, because it is, again, very, very crucial. Knowing how to manage your estates will make the difference between a beginner and an advanced player, in my opinion. I know there's people with thousands of hours that still are not confident with the estates, and it's time that you learn because this really will improve your gameplay massively. We're going to give out the religious diplomats privilege for the clergy, the clerical education, which gives some reform progress growth based on the loyalty and influence of the clergy estate. It can go up or it can go down if you have negative loyalty. We also want to give the advisor cost reduction privilege, but this also increases stability cost modifier, so we're going to give this out after the disaster has finished. For now, that's it for the clergy. We're going to go and we're going to give quite a few privileges for the burghers, including indebted to the burghers. Now, this privilege will give us 5 loans at 1%, which means we only pay 0.59 interest, and we start with 700 ducats in our treasury, which will really help us out massively navigating the initial disaster and even doing the initial conquests. We also want to give private trade fleet, so we have cheaper light ships. We're going to be recruiting quite a few light ships, plus it gives ship trade power, allowing us to get more trade power in our civilian node. Burgher economic freedom is one of the best privileges for the burghers, since it gives you extra merchant trade power and provincial trade power, again doubling down on how much trade power you have in your nodes. Burgher financial demand gives a flat 10% national tax modifier. Early in the campaign, tax is your main source of income, so this is a great privilege for the early phase, not so much for the mid to late part of the campaign. Promote burgher bookkeeping is actually good too, but we only have 2 slots left, and and I would like to use them for some other privileges we'll get back to later. For now, that's it with the starting privileges for the burghers. For the nobility, we're going to give increased levies, which is going to give us 23% more manpower nationally because we have 46% nobility control of our crownlands. This is based off of the percentage of the nobles owning land, so if they lose control of the land, then we get less manpower. Obviously, supremacy over the crown too, which is going to give loyalty and influence equilibrium for all three of these states, allowing us to get over 50% with the nobles and with the burghers. For the clergy, we still need to give one privilege that I mentioned earlier, which we're going to give after the disaster is over. And we also can give the court positions, giving us prestige decay, again, based on the loyalty and the influence of the nobles estate. One thing to note is that giving these privileges out will increase our influence, and in order for us to revoke the factionless nobility, we need to have more loyalty than we have influence. So in order to do that, we're going to have to sell some titles and maybe even do some diet agendas to get over 78 loyalty with the nobility, but we're far from that because we need at least 15 years to reach 50% crownlands ownership. We do start with 10% army professionalism. I actually like to start slackening recruitment from day one because we're going to eventually have to use mercenaries, and when you recruit mercenary companies, it will lower your army professionalism. Our starting leader as well as our heir are not really that great, so we kind of want to get rid of them, but I don't want to waste all of that prestige by disinheriting my Enrique. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be turning Enrique into a leader. This gives me a chance that he's going to pass away. If he doesn't pass away in the first, say, 5 years, then I will probably disinherit him. I have no other choice. It's a little bit RNG. If you really don't want to depend on RNG too much, you honestly could just disinherit him from day one. It might even be the better option. And you know what? Screw it, because I want to show you what it's like. We're going to disinherit him, lose the 50 prestige, and I'm going to make up for that 50 prestige lost by getting the patronage of the arts privilege, which gives me 25 prestige back. And now we have to pray G that we're going to get an heir. Also, we really want to get Navarra as a diplomatic vassal. In order to do that, we just need to get 190 relations and an alliance, which we already got with them. And we want to do this because most of the times they become a junior partner of Aragon, as the leader of Navarra is also the heir of Aragon. So we don't want to get our union over Aragon before we vassalize Navarra, because if that happens, then we end up using one of our diplo relation slots for 50 years for just this one province minor of Navarra. Now, in order to also get our claims on the Navarran as well as the Andalusian parts, we just need to have 100% force limit for army and navy, so that's fairly easy to do. We're going to do that right now, actually. Recruit some more Latin medieval infantry all the way up to 34, and then 35 once we get a little bit more manpower. And the same here, we're going to get some more light ships, 1, 2, and the third one is actually going to be a flagship. Now, as the Castilians, I like to do a light ship as my first flagship, not a heavy ship, because I don't necessarily need to fight any major naval power, and I can use my light ship for exploring as well as for trade, so why not? We also have unique traits as Castile and as Spain for that matter. All of them are not bad. However, I'm actually going to go for trade power per ship and fleet. What does this mean? It means that all the ships, regardless of what type of ship they are, within the fleet that has the flagship will give 1 extra trade power. Also like to get my fleet movement speed, and the third one, sure, we can do fleet hunt piracy efficiency plus 100%. That's not bad. But let's actually give this a proper Spanish name. The historical Cucaracha flagship of the Spanish Armada. Everybody knows about this. It's common knowledge, obviously. Take into account that the Spaniards also have a unique ability. They can give organizations to their states, and these organizations are honestly very powerful. Not only do they give permanent bonuses to the entire state based on whichever organization or holy order you want to choose, but they also give a +1 development from either tax, production, or manpower. So that means for just 50 admin, we can get 5 admin development, or for 50 diplo, we can get 5 diplomatic development or production development, which would be actually 250 to 300 it would cost us to develop every single province in Toledo, for example. So it's really, really good to give this early on, not just for the bonuses, but for the development itself too. We don't have obviously much mana points to spare because we start with the worst ruler imaginable, but we'll eventually get some, and we'll talk about that more as we go along in the campaign. I am going to get an alliance with Aragon. However, I'm not going to get a royal marriage. Why is that? Because we both have the Trastamara dynasty. So because right now we do not have an heir, what will happen is they will try to enforce a dynasty dynasty or a personal union over us. So their attitude will change from allied to domineering, which means they will cancel the alliance and they will try and attack us. But you can easily avoid that by simply not getting that alliance. Remember that, because I know I've seen a lot of people asking this question in previous Castile videos. Other really good allies for Castile would include the English if they didn't rival us, which right now they did, so we cannot do that. Savoy is also a really great ally for us. The Papal States is a good ally too, and kind of ironically, Tlemcen can actually be a pretty good ally. We can use them to attack the Moroccans, and then we can cancel the alliance and afterwards attack them, of course. Good old Latin spirit, backstabicus maximus, eh? No, we're scumbags. We're actually scumbags here. I'm also going to be improving relations with the Papal States. We are a part of the papacy because we're a Catholic nation, and we really want to have as high up relations as possible. We want to spend some papal influence eventually also to try and get the Curia controller, which has some insane bonuses like lowered aggressive expansion impact, diplomatic annexation cost reduction. Getting to be the Pope is like getting to be the next top model in Victoria's Secret, which really makes me wonder, why did I come up with that as an example? That's just weird, isn't it? Well, looks like Granada allied Tunis, so whenever we attack the Granadans, we should be able to also grab quite a chunk of the coastline of Tunis, which is of course rightful Castilian clay. Now guys, as to the Castilians, you have two options of playstyle. You can go full-on military, and the Castilians do have one of the strongest militaries in the world, and we can maybe even restore the Roman Empire. The second option is to go into the New World, create a colonial empire, and use that to get filthy rich. In my particular playthrough now, because this is the last time I'm basically playing EU4 as Castile, I'm going to do both. So we're both going to restore the Roman Empire and create a massive colonial empire. And do stick around and pay close attention, because I'll show you exactly how you can do both without any issues. There you go. We did not summon the Diet ourselves. We just waited for the nobility to call the Diet. Why did we do it? Well, because if we were to summon the Diet ourselves, it would cost us 5 influence with each of the estates, and this way we avoid increasing the influence for the estates. We're gonna go for the proposal of the burghers to increase our trade power in the Safi or Agadir trade node. So that's actually gonna be very, very easy, seeing as we're probably gonna be attacking Moroccans very soon. Now I'm also gonna be sending an insult to the English, a regular one, because I don't have prestige to send a scornful one, so I increase my power projection a little bit more. Not only does this give us the +1 mana privilege when we get 50 or above power projection, but we also get morale of armies, so it will actually help us out in our wars. The Infantes of Aragon is a historical event where the sons and daughters of King Fernando of Aragon tried to get leadership over the Kingdom of Juan, namely the Kingdom of Castile. They didn't succeed historically, and Enrique became the king afterwards for a while at least, and they're not going to succeed in our game too. We're going to go for standing with the king. Now this triggered 2 separate rebellions. Hear me out, this is honestly extremely important to take into account. When these rebellions trigger, it is vital that we crush both rebellions and we take the lands that they own immediately. If we don't do so, what happens is we will keep getting again and again events that lower both our admin, diplo, and maybe even give us stability hits, and we need to have at least 0 stability, which we just got, to get rid of the disaster. As it stands, I'm not sure why Paradox hasn't fixed this, but this is a little bit buggy, seeing as the amount of events you get is way too high. Almost every month, sometimes even more often than that, you get these specific events that destroy your mana generation and just make it impossible to go back to 0 stability, which means it's impossible to get rid of the disaster. So you really just want to push for this as soon as possible. We're going to transfer some of these units into the south to make sure we can defeat both the north and the southern rebels. And I'm actually going to make my king a leader. Okay, he's average. He only has 1 shock, 1 siege, but better than nothing. Reason for that is that we really need all the help we can get. And because he's got 5 maneuver, I'm going to sign up for this army so they move a little bit faster to Cordoba to reinforce the southern army. There you go. They've arrived. Now let's go ahead and attack the rebels in Sevilla. All right, so we defeated the northern army. We left a few units behind to siege that down, and we also defeated the southern army, which is actually perfect. Now hopefully we siege this in time before we start getting the horrible events that just, there you go, spoken way too soon. Army deserters. We lose 117 ducats, but we gain some morale of armies discipline for 5 years. That's fine. That's actually not one of the worst events, but it did take a big toll on our economy, unfortunately. Come on, siege that down. Quick, 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 quick. All right, perfect. That means that we now have ended the struggle of the Infantes. It means we get 23,000 manpower, 20 legitimacy, and 5 crownlands. And remember to always decline any sort of royal marriage from your allies, because that's literally just bait. If you accept them, you're going to end up with those particular allies trying to enforce their union over you. We can now diplo-vassalize also Navarra, which is amazing. And let's check on the Byzantines. They're still around. They have not yet been attacked by the Ottomans, which is great. It means that we can attack them so we can make them our vassal. Before anything else, I'm also going to get the Milanese as an ally, and you'll see in a few moments why. And we're going to merge up all of our fleets, go into the south so we can start getting ready for the invasion of the Byzantine lands. Now, declaring a no CB war on Byzantium means we get 40 aggressive expansion, -2 stability, and +2 war exhaustion. However, that is a little bit misleading because check it out. If you go to the aggressive expansion map, we only got like 5 aggressive expansion or 4 aggressive expansion with the Portuguese. We got 6 with the Aragonese. What happens is you get aggressive expansion with the nations around the area where you declare the war on. So that means around the Byzantines. That's why the Catholics in Venice got 16 aggressive expansion with us, and the Catholics in Portugal got significantly less, as well as because the Byzantines are an Orthodox nation, other Orthodox nations get more aggressive expansion. So Wallachia, Moldova, Serbia, which are Orthodox, get 22, 27 aggressive expansion by contrast to what my neighbors got with me. So the real problem with the no CB war is the fact that you just lose that stability and war exhaustion that is quite precious early in the campaign. We will be landing in the capital of Constantinople, and we're doing this just in case the Ottomans attack the Byzantines. As long as we hold on to the capital of the Byzantine Empire, then we should still be able to vassalize the Byzantines, even if the Ottomans take most of the southern tip of the Balkan Peninsula. Okay, looks like we have an heir, and unfortunately he is really bad. In fact, he's so bad, his name is Averregius Fall Out the Window. Yes. I don't know why his name is that, but I don't think he's going to be sticking around for long. We're also going to be doing a naval landing into the south now that we secured more or less the northern parts, so we can more quickly put an end to this war and make the Byzantines our vassals. There's a very high likelihood that the Ottomans will attack us whilst we're at war. Well, we'll attack the Byzantines whilst we're at war with them, in which case we'll be able to defensively call all of our allies and fight against the Ottomans together. That's also why I allied the Milanese, but I'd rather that not happen because I don't want to have a long war with the Ottomans just yet. First, I want to be at peace so I can seize 5% crownlands again in a couple of years, just so I can do my main goal of getting 50% crownlands, which we lost some because of the Merino wool event, by the way, so there's that as well. Now we're also holding on to our ships in both the Aegean Sea and the Sea of Marmara, so we speed up the process of taking over the fortifications that they have. Oh no, this is not good. The Ottomans have attacked them, haven't they? They have. No, come on. Oh, that's horrible. That means we have to fight the Ottomans ASAP, which I'm assuming is going to take a few years. It's not going to be a piece of cake, that's for sure. All right, well, it seems like the Ottomans pieced out the Byzantines and they only took the city of Athens, which I'm not sure is necessarily a good or a bad thing, but I am going to be vassalizing the Byzantines now. I don't need to be at war with them anymore, and I can also start getting ready for the war with the Ottomans because, of course, we're going to be reconquering all the cores that the Byzantines lost. They do have 23 ships. Problem is, my ships are not necessarily best for fighting. We have 5 heavies, which are great, but we don't have any galleys, and in this particular area, galleys are kings. They don't yet have military tech 4, so I kind of feel like this might actually be the best opportunity for me to attack. If I wait and they get military tech 4, it might be a little bit more difficult afterwards. Now, seeing as we have 2 subjects, we can also give out the Strong Duchies privilege, which offers 2 extra diplo relations as well as liberty, desire, and subjects reduced, which means we're not losing any diplomatic power from being over diplo relation slots. We might as well co-belligerate Karaman since they are the only allies the Ottomans have, and we set Athens as the main war target since it's fairly easy to reconquer this province. Now, the reality is that if the Ottomans reach military take 4 during this war, it might be GG for us, so we gotta be extremely careful. I'm sorry. The Epirites just gave Condottieri to the Ottomans. You actual freaking scumbags. Brother, what? You know what? I'm actually so mad with that, I'm actually gonna attack them. How dare you, Epirus? Not only did they give Condottieri, but they gave it for free. Well, unfortunately, they managed to take Constantinople, so this is gonna be a little bit of a longer fight than I expected it to be. On the bright side, though, we've been improving relations with the Burgundy, which made them cancel the rivalry so we can get a royal marriage with them, and Charles is now in charge, so we have a chance of getting the inheritance once we get the alliance after the war with the Byzantines is over. That would actually be amazing because that's like 400 development we don't need to worry about afterwards. Oh, this is a real big blow to the Ottomans. That's like half of their army, boys. All right, so we've destroyed the Ottoman army a few times already. We managed to inflict about 40,000 damage on their units, but they resorted to mercenaries. So now they've got roughly around half of their army as mercenaries, which means we're basically winning, but it's still going to take a little bit of time. They also have pretender rebels, which is good because they're going to have to fight through these bastards too. As long as we hold on to the Balkan holdings, we should be fine. I'm also building a few more ships right now, which will allow me to maintain control of the Sea of Marmara. They do still have more galleys than me, so I'm temporarily using some galleys. I know I like having my light ships, but galleys are going to be necessary for this war, unfortunately. I kind of underestimated the Ottoman fleet, and I'm not going to make that mistake again. Another time-tested thing I like to do is attack the smaller stacks whenever I see them and stack wipe them so that I can basically make the enemy army smaller. If I full on take on the enemy army, I might lose because the Ottomans right now have military tech 4. I'm still on military tech 3, so they do have the military advantage, unfortunately. Another victory for the greater crusade. I mean, Castilian nation. We're totally not a secret crusade over here, guys. Totally not. Another cool little thing you can do in your battles if you're struggling against the Ottomans is try and see wherever they're marching towards, and if you can, try and get there before they do. So right now, we're going to get -1 dice roll for attacker for the Ottomans because they are the attacker and we're defending in the province of Costendil. Also, I forgot we need to get 1 stability so we can do the Infantes of Aragon, which increases the mana generation of Juan, our leader, by 1, which means that we are not going to be getting any more ticking war score for the Castilian Civil War, avoiding the Civil War for the time being. Oh, looks like Ragusa is occupied by some rebels, so they can white peace us, which in turn means we can do our peace deal with the Epirus now, and of course that is going to be a full annexation. We're taking the island of Cephalonia ourselves since the Byzantines don't have cores on this anyway, and we're returning the core of Arta to the Byzantines, with which we actually need to improve relations. I actually forgot to improve relations with them. All right, we got enough war score to enforce most of our demands. We're not looking for everything here, but just a sizable chunk of stuff. So we're going to be taking Silistria, from which we're going to release Bulgaria to reconquer cores in the next war against the Ottomans. We're taking all the cores of the Byzantines. We're taking a little bit of money. I wish I could take maximum amount of money, but I'm only at 130 here. I don't want to keep fighting just for another 20% war score because this war has dragged on for a lot longer than I was expecting it to anyway. So let's go with this particular war deal. We actually inflicted a lot of damage on them. We probably in the long run weakened them enough to the point where they're not going to be a challenge for us anymore after this particular war. These Ottoman pretenders will also continue to siege down Ottoman provinces, causing even more problems for them, especially since I'm not going to give them military access. So this entire area of the Ottoman Empire is now completely isolated from the empire itself. And seeing as we have 30 prestige, I'm going to be disinheriting my heir. I mean, oh no! What happened there? Fall out the windiest? Honestly, just about anything is better than that guy. He's just the worst. He eats with his mouth open. I didn't want to say anything, but he does. He really does. Now, of course, let's go ahead and secure that alliance I was planning on getting with the Burgundians from a while back. Do make sure if you want to get the royal marriage with Burgundy to get the inheritance, you have to send the royal marriage. Don't let them send you the royal marriage. That's really important, as when Charles dies, it will break the royal marriage if they were the ones that sent it. Now, seeing as Byzantium is extremely loyal, we can also divert trade from them and from Navarra, of course. All right, time for the North African War now. We're going to keep Granada as the war target. We're going to promise to give land to Aragon and Tlemcen, and that way we can use Tlemcen as our little meat bag. Basically, Tunis and Morocco focus on Tlemcen whilst we do all the heavy lifting, of course. Clearly. A great day for all Castilians. Isabella of Castile can now become the heir to our throne. A 563 Isabella historically is the reason why the crowns of Castile and Aragon merged into one, leading the way to modern nation of Spain as we know it, and us having a female heir whilst the Aragonese having a male heir means that we pretty much have a guarantee for the Iberian wedding now. So funny seeing the Sussians, Moroccans, Marrakeshi all run away from my brave Aragonese allies that are actually doing something this time, you know? They're actually being useful. There you go. Beautiful, Aragon. Take care of that for me. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, Aragon did give the province of Tangiers to Tlemcen, which is not optimal because I was going to take that for myself. Now it's not possible unless Tlemcen pizzas out first. And finally, France has a war with England. I had a little bit of bad RNG. Usually I see the English and the French go to war, but this time the English actually gave Maine to the French, avoiding the war for the first few years. I want the French and the English to fight because that weakens both sides and it makes it easier for me to swoop in afterwards and grab some French possessions in the south. One of the good parts about our mission tree is that it really is very powerful, so we could potentially get now permanent claims on the entirety of England proper, or if we wait a little bit longer, we can get a restoration of union on all of the English nation, which honestly is a little bit more powerful, but we do have to wait until they become Anglican or Protestant, so we're going to keep that mission there for the time being. We're not going to press it just yet. Oh, this would have come in massive handy when we were fighting the Ottomans. Like right now, jousting tournaments not really doing much because we already have extremely strong armies. Look at that, we got 4.62 morale of armies compared to our enemies, which have 2.6, 3.1. It's like not even any sort of a challenge. I think I'm going to quickly piece out the Moroccans so I can take the fortification in Fez, and I'll take the rest in the next war against them. I'm also doing this so I can focus more on Tunis as well as try and finish this war a little bit faster. It's been dragging on for a while now. Oh, come on. How did Tunis take charge of that siege, man? They were not even there. Oh, come on. Maybe we can take Kef so we can connect all of our holdings in North Africa, I guess. Take a little bit of money too, and there you go, boys. And also, last but not least, we're going to be fully annexing Granada. Rightful Castilian clay, obviously. Cancel that core they got in Ceuta. Now, the problem is that we do have distrust with the Aragonese, which means they're going to cancel the alliance now. What we could do, though, is we can use some of our favors and trade those favors for trust. So we go from distrust to trusting us somewhat, despite not giving them the lands we promised we'd give, so they still keep the alliance with us. That is literally why I've been currying favors with them, because I did intend on not giving them any actual lands. We do have a little bit of overextension now, so let's see if we can concentrate development. We can. All right, that should put us below 100. There we go. So now we can just chill, relax, take a Chilius Pilius, and basically for the next few years, I'd say not have any actual wars and try and fix our economy. We can also choose the fate of the Kingdom of Granada. I actually like to convert all these provinces to Catholic. It really prevents any future bad events from triggering, so I'm gonna go for that. I'm gonna go back up to 1 stability, and then whatever's left of my admin points just gonna core up things. Of course, like I said, not doing anything for a few years until we core up everything, so we'll be fine. And with that mission, we have all 3 or 4 of these provinces Catholic now, so we don't need to convert them ourselves. We also can now release Bulgaria as one of our subjects since we have the diplomatic relation slots for it, so we're not losing any actual diplomatic power anymore. And I think I'm going to be attacking the leftover desert kingdoms of North Africa just so I have prettier borders and so I don't need to worry about any potential nations causing any trouble in North Africa. Basically just going to consolidate North Africa as soon as I can here. Now, seeing as early on I don't necessarily have many mana points, it's really vital when I do have some that I use them properly. So I'm going to now get my first local organization in Toledo, which is going to give local goods produced plus 10% and unrest reduction. Not only that, but it also offers 1 tax development in every province. Tax is not necessarily the best type of development, but the goods produced modifier is honestly huge from an economical perspective. I also set up the encourage development edict, so now we can do a little bit of development in La Mancha. We want to bring this up to 10 production development, which will result in 6.66 ducats from this particular gold mine alone. Going above 10 is fine also, but it will increase the chance of depleting the gold mine, which is not really optimal. Whoa, Aragon's gone to war with Naples to reinforce their union over Naples. You know what? That's actually not such a bad thing, because when I do get the Aragonese as my junior partner, I don't need to pay for the extra aggressive expansion that I'll need in order to enforce that union over Naples. So why not? I'm gonna help them out. Now, boys, I do want to address something, right? So earlier what I did was I used my admin points to get the Benedictites local organization in Toledo. However, admin is really important and it's really hard to get, especially early in the campaign. So I only did that because this particular state is where we also have the gold mine of La Mancha that we're developing up to 10 development. But for the rest of my states, I personally, and this is just my personal opinion, I like to do one of the military organizations because I get a lot of extra military development that helps me get bigger armies early on, and also military mana is not as useful as admin is, which you need for technology, you need for ideas very early on, you need for core coring up provinces. All of these organizations are okay. I like to do the fort maintenance if I'm permanently gonna have a fort in one of those states, or if not, then I can do the local manpower modifier and hostile movement speed if I don't have a fort in that particular region. So say for example in here I don't have a fort, so I can just go ahead and do local manpower modifier and hostile movement, which means I also got 5 more military mana, so I can get more manpower passively. Now when it comes to the war in Naples, I'm not going to wait for the Aragonese to peace out. I'm actually going to peace out separately, and I'm doing this so I can get a little bit of money from that particular war. If I wait for the Aragonese to enforce their demands, then I likely will get a lot less money, and I'm just a scumbag. I want my money. It's mine, rightfully owned, of course. Thing is also, as long as Aragon has the capital of Naples, they can pretty much enforce. They should still have above 60% war score, which is what they need to enforce their demands and get the union back with Naples. And getting that extra little bit of money will allow us to pay off some of the loans that we have. I really just don't want to have any loans, to be honest. And we also now can start getting ready for the war with Tlemcen and Jared. I was also able to enforce religion and made Byzantium Catholic simply because I had so many provinces I returned back to them that they're just insanely loyal right now. If I was to do the same with the Bulgarians, they would become disloyal. So I'm only going to enforce religion after I give them back the provinces that they lost. And it's time for the Great Southern War, as I like to call it, where we basically just bully Tlemcen and take all their stuff. You guys want to see the unluckiest thing ever? So Aragon enforced their union over Naples. Guess what happened right after? Aragon's leader died right after they enforced the union. So they lost the union over Naples. Bro, come on. Really? What is this RNG, brother? So now there's a regency for Ferran de Trastamara, which is 14, and our girl is 14 as well. So once I finish the war with Tlemcen, if my leader doesn't pass away in the meanwhile, I am going to be abdicating in favor of Isabel, which literally will trigger the Iberian wedding. Okay, looks like we did not need to disinherit because he passed away and Isabel is now the new leader of our country. We will need to get 1 stability back though. And we also got to wait for Ferran to come of age before we do any sneaky shweeky dicky. We have 2 options. We can get support from the Portuguese or we can get support from the Aragonese. We're going to go for the Aragonese, obviously, and that's going to give us a 561 heir, which is not the worst, honestly. Alfonso sounds like a decent Spanish name to me, and we do have to get rid of the separatist rebels we have now, as well as increase our stability back. We do need to have 1 stability and get rid of all the rebels in order to finish this particular disaster. I know what you're thinking, Ludi, you had 2 freaking disasters in such a short amount of time. I know, it's the usual Castilian experience, honestly. And of course, the Portuguese also get involved and we get even more rebels. Why not? Now, the truth is, I am going to need some mercenaries if I'm going to be able to win the Civil War. So let's go ahead and recruit some of them. Almogavars is really good. They have 4 shock general. That is actually delicious. So let's get that. And we're going to take a loan and we're going to get a secondary mercenary company, the Free Company. That should be enough to deal with the rebels over on the actual Iberian Peninsula. Okay, we got some manpower and military power. Am I to understand that the Portuguese are trying to help me here, or what's going on? Okay, even more pretender rebels. Of course, this is just perfect. Oh my god, finally some actual good news. We got gold rush, so we got a little bit of money to help us out. Seeing as we really need to focus on the Civil War, I'm gonna let Tlemcen survive in that 1 province in Figuig, which I assume is gonna become Moroccan very, very soon. And there you have it, boys. We just got the Iberian wedding. There's a few ways you can trigger this. The easiest way is to have opposing gender leaders for Aragon and Castile, which is what happened in our case. We have Ferran in Aragon and we have Isabel in our country. So we're going to be making Aragon a junior partner. This means we get even more rebels. So clearly this is a rebel paradise. And now, and also know what you guys thinking. Ludi, why is your face not shiny? There, it's shiny now. Okay, I actually turned off my my face light because it was blinding me kind of. Now that means with the Aragon, we can get a restoration of union on Naples and Portugal, but we're going to wait before we click that mission. We have to get rid of this natural disaster. Hey, look at that. I was right. The Moroccans did decide to make Figuig a part of their country. So we have 1 stability and we got rid of the rebels, which means that we finished the Castilian Civil War, ending up with 2 stability in the process. That also means that we can do a reinforced royal authority that offers for 20 years some pretty decent bonuses. And more importantly, we can start with our claims in Aragon, which also means that we can now attack and restore the unions over first the Portuguese, of course, and then afterwards afterwards, we're gonna have to do the Neapolitans once more, which apparently are getting attacked by the Pope. Okay, well, Pope, that is not very nice of you, sir. This is rightful Castilian clay, you should know. I think I'm gonna get another army in Caceres so we can more quickly finish this war and start with the next one. Oh, wait, what? Aragon's helping me out. No freaking way. Little old Schnappeldoop Aragon actually doing something. Oh my god, I almost forgot to give the nobility integration policy. If we didn't give this out, we would have gotten -3 Diplo reputation after we integrated Navarra, so good thing I noticed. And I'm also taking care of the pretender rebels that the Aragonese have, because if I don't, and they enforce their demands, then I lose my personal union over Aragon, which is a big no-no. Wait, what? Is this... Bro, this is Theodoro kinda winning against the Ottomans. What on... Okay, they're not winning, they're losing. But I'm still happy to see that Theodoro somehow managed to conquer all of the Bulgarian parts of the Ottoman Empire. And there goes the last of the brave Portuguesos. Oh, check it out, guys. Because we have an ally that has a great power in the French region, namely Burgundy, we can do this mission that's going to give us 10 permanent power projection. So now if we want to get the +1 mana privilege, we just got to be above 50 power projection. So we just go and we scornfully insult the Ottomans. And that means we now get +1 mana for each of the categories. The truce is also over with Naples, so we're going to go for the restoration of union against the Neapolitan crown. So the positive part about Naples losing majority of their land is that it's actually a very little aggressive expansion to us enforcing this union over them. The bad part, however, is that we do have to reconquer stuff from the Pope, which is going to piss off the Pope, and we don't want to piss off the Pope because we want to be on his good graces. All right, now that that's done, we can also do the peace with the Portuguese, and that's going to be basically no aggressive expansion. It's just aggressive expansion with the Ottomans and North Africans, which really doesn't make any sort of a difference. And yes, in case you're wondering, I am taking the province of Ceuta for myself. Do I need to do that? No, actually, I really don't need to. But I just like to see the straight yellow going from Gibraltar to the north of Africa. I'm just, you know, I'm a little bit OCD sometimes. All right, now I can go ahead and we can spawn some more rebels, of course. There you go. They all spawned in North Africa, clearly. And that means we now have a few more missions we can do. We can get 1 more stability from having recovered the Portuguese area. So we're up to 3 stability. We can also do descent onto Italy, which is going to give permanent claims on most of Italy as well as all of the Belgian parts. By most of Italy, I really just mean Milan and Tuscany, really. Now, very important, guys, we need to have above 0 relations with all of our personal union members. If we don't, what will happen is if our leader dies and we have below 0 relations with our junior partners, then they will break away and become independent nations, so we don't want to see that happen. Also very important, make sure you get the union with the Portuguese after they already took the exploration ideas, because if you don't, it's likely they take a different idea set, and we want the Portuguese to get exploration so they can colonize the New World for us whilst we're busy restoring the Roman Empire in Europe. And the moment a lot of you have been waiting for, we managed to get up to 50% crownlands, and also we have more loyalty than we have influence, which means we can cancel the factionalist nobility, one of the worst privileges in history, that we can now give out the +1 mana privilege for all 3 of the estates, and we still end up with 20%, so we are not getting any of the autonomy debuffs. Plus, if we go to our power generation, we're getting quite a lot of power now as consequence. We are, however, a little bit over our Diplo relation slot, so we might need to cancel this alliance with Savoy, I guess. Yeah, this is basically the last ally that we have, and we have to get rid of them, unfortunately. Burgundy is staying because I'm still hopeful that I'm going to get the Burgundian inheritance. And I've also recruited a ton of new galleys for my upcoming war with the Ottomans. Before that, though, we're going to do a little bit of a cleanup war in North Africa, as I like to call it. Now, during this cleanup war, I cannot go belligerate the Moroccans because they allied, actually, the Ottomans. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be attacking the Tunisians and co-belligerate Fezantogurt and not the Moroccans, meaning that Morocco we're not going to take any actual lands from, where we're just going to cancel their alliance with the Ottomans in this war. Holy mother, guys, we got the Burgundian inheritance, and oh my god, this is actually freaking insane. That means we really don't need to stress about the, let me actually save this. We don't need to stress about 400 or so development in the French region, which is really high aggressive expansion. So forming the Roman Empire is going to be significantly easier now. Seems like the Scots are also winning against the English. It's actually very easy to get the Burgundian inheritance, guys. Honestly, as long as you're a strong nation, you got a fair chance of them choosing you when the event triggers. And if you don't get it, then you can also Alt F4 until you get it, right? The problem with the Alt F4ing is that if somebody else gets it, it's likely that you're not even going to find out until later. At least that's what happens to me usually when I check Burgundy, they're like a union already of somebody else. So yeah, if you want the save game, by the way, guys, I'll make it available to everyone on my Discord. Just join the Discord and check the links. You have to read the rules and get the rank to be able to access that, of course, but I'm sure you can do 5 steps in order to get access to the whole Discord, right? Remember how I said that the Castilian mission tree is really OP? Well, we can also get a union on the Austrians because they've got a smaller army than us and less development, and we are a great power with above 50 power projection. Now, the Austrians have a union themselves over the Bohemians. They did not get the union over Hungary, which kind of sucks. I was hoping that they would. You know what? I'm actually going to secure this. This is going to last for 25 years, this restoration of union. So we're going to take that CB now. I actually was going to attack the Ottomans. Honestly, in this game, guys, you have to mold yourself on whatever RNG you get. So in this case, considering how Austria, Bohemia, and so on is a lot more valuable than the Austrians are, obviously prioritize attacking the Austrians over the Ottomans. I love the fact that if you know how to dodge aggressive expansion, you really never need to worry about a coalition forming against you in this game. If you're wondering how you can do that, I actually have an aggressive expansion guide that I'll link in the description for you boys. It's a little bit of an older guide, but it applies to the current patch, as those particular mechanics were not changed. Oh, actually, we can already peace out the Mamelukes. I'm gonna do that. We already canceled the alliance with the Ottomans. Boom shakalaka. So we don't need to stress about them, and we can attack them in a few years and wipe them out afterwards. And there you have it. The last holdout of Tunisia. I love how big our name is on the map now. And if we go to the player map mode, it's actually way bigger if we count all of our subjects around here. So we have a little bit of a problem here, boys. The Emperor demands the Low Countries, and we have 2 options. Either we give him the provinces in Belgium, or we go to war. However, if we go to war, we're going to have a truce with them. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to be declaring my own war, restoration of union, and that way we should be already in a war. All right, that means we can still enforce the union, right? Let me just double check. So my plan now is to just peace out the smaller nations like Florence, like whatever was in here, Hamburg, Brigance, and so on, before we actually push into the Austrians, because I expect them to have pretty sizable armies. This is a lot more challenging, so I'm going to take the burger loans, pay off the nasty 4% loan that we had from before, and we're going to use mercenaries like crazy if we want to win this. We're going to, at the very least, need to get the Grand Company here. I am impressed with Florence's diplomatic skills. They got an alliance with Austria, France, and Milan, so I'm going to cancel all of those, obviously, and get a little bit of monies out of them for the insolence of having fought us. The problem is the Austrians have occupied everything in the Balkans and South Italy, so I'm going to have to unoccupy this and also deal with them. They've been recruiting like crazy. They're up to 47,000. They had it 1.70,000 units, so they really are going into overdrive for this war. Holy mother of generals, the Almogavars have a 4 siege, 4 shock general. I am so hiring that man right now. Even if we go over our force limit, he is so worth it. All right, so now I've been basically targeting only Austrian provinces, both to get the war score and also to just destroy the economy and the output of Austria, because they still have 50,000 units in the field somehow. I love how they're also friendly towards me with the attitude. We also started conquering back the provinces that they took in the Balkans, and my vassals are taking care of the rebels in North Africa. So honestly, things are aligning pretty well. Look at that. We also got military tech 7, so now we can get some cannons to facilitate and speed up the conquest of Austria. Let's start with the 4 cannons. All right, boys, so we're getting major revolts and we're not doing amazing economically. We're actually losing 15 ducats, so we have to go to peace. We really do have to go to peace and fix stuff. I could carry on with the war. I don't really need to. I can enforce my demands as it is, and I even can take a little bit of money off of this. 100 ducats is better than no ducats. This means we get the union over both the Bohemians and the Austrians, and the Austrians also will keep their army, which is 40,000 strong, as well as the Bohemian 25,000, so I can still be at war after this. I can use their armies when I fight the Ottomans. Coalition-wise, it is unfortunately quite a few nations, but I'm confident that I'm big enough that this coalition is actually not going to trigger. So I guess here goes nothing. Wish me luck. We lost so many units in that war. It's crazy. All right. Now let's go ahead and improve relations with both of these nations, because we need them to be above 0 relations with us. And the Austrians really don't have that great relations right now. Also, let's check the player map mode. Look at that, boys. We literally have half of Europe now. So let's check who would potentially join in the coalition. It seems like a lot of nations would be able to. So I'm going to be a little bit proactive with this. And what do I mean by that? Well, I'm going to be attacking nations that might attack me just so I make sure they don't join the coalition against me. And as you would imagine, the main one in that category is the Ottomans. We're going to be taking back all the Bulgarian lands from the Ottomans. Also, I can get some money by selling some crown lands and then seizing crown lands back. We end up with 11 crown lands, better than nothing, and we can pay off a lot of our loans, as well as we actually can pay off all of our loans now if we wanted to, but we're not going to do that. We're going to use this money to make sure we have enough steady flow of mercenaries for the Ottoman War and possibly future wars after. I'm honestly very, very scared that after I declare the war on the Ottomans, which I just did, that maybe Hungary or some of the other nations will start forming a coalition. This coalition technically will go away in 5 years, give or take, so I just really have to improve relations with these nations and make sure I have a strong enough alliance set that they're not going to declare on me. Also, bonus points if I finish the Ottoman War super fast. Check it out, we got 1,200 development overall between us and our subjects. Way more than Ming even has in just 30 years, dude. This is just so crazy to me. We also could pay off the debt of the Austrians, which is going to make them a little bit more loyal and maybe encourage them to help us out in a few moments once their liberty desire goes below 50. Also, the coalition has started to form, so we're not going to be expanding in this area for a while. I mean, I wasn't planning on expanding in Europe anyway for the time being, because I'm planning to attack the Mamluks after this. Okay, we got the capital, and I believe we're going to be able to crush their fleet, so they're going to be a lot more enticed to give up and give me all they have. Heck, I love how they randomly got Janissary rebellions already. See how many units they got? 37. Didn't they start with 25? They actually recruited 12,000 to fight me. That's impressive. And of course, we got even more rebels in North Africa. Let's go ahead and deal with these bad boys. Get another general too. Oh, he is really good. Wow. That's the first good general we got so far. Dude, I cannot express how many times I had the situation where the forts go up to 64, 70 something percent before they fall. And for the enemies, especially the Ottomans, they fall at 7%. Why is it like that, man? Why is it always like that? I'm also quickly realizing that I have so many soldiers from my personal unions that it's crazy. I think I've got like 120,000 units just from my personal unions and subjects overall. All right, we got most of the stuff we need for the Ottomans. I wish I could take Tolcha as well, but sadly the Mamluks occupied it, so I'm not going to be able to take it in this war. It's fine though. We're taking Biga, so we have a crossing over into Anatolia for the next war, and we're taking Ichel, so we can release Karaman afterwards and feed him back all their cores. Look at that coalition. Nobody gives a single schnitzel about us taking Ottoman lands this time, and that also means that we likely will see most of the coalition members leave the coalition. Seeing as I don't want to expand into Europe for a while, I allied the Pope and I'm currying favors with them, which means we're going to be getting 0.45 favors a month. So I'm going to use my favors to return the cores of my subjects Naples. I don't need to attack the Pope, and as such I don't get any aggressive expansion. I just need to be nice to them, and whilst I'm doing that, I'm also going to be expanding into North Africa now. So yeah, we're basically doing 2 expansion paths without taking any aggressive expansion on one side of those paths. Morocco's truce is over, so we have to attack them. If we don't, they will most likely join the coalition because they do have 167 aggressive expansion with us. So even though I didn't plan on attacking them, I kind of have to right now. Actually, didn't even do much of the work here. It was mostly my subjects that did it, but I'm glad. I am going to take the entire coastline they have, so they don't have the ability to raid anymore, in essence preventing them from raiding my coastline. There's no more pirates, guys. We got rid of the pirates. We're such amazing people. We fixed all piracy problems in North Africa. What do you know? We're the best. Now let's also take some money, and there you go. The next war, of course, I'm gonna prioritize the Tafilat gold mine. I don't really care about that little gold mine right now, to be honest. I care more about getting rid of the coastline pirates. Now that means we can do this mission, continue Reconquista, as well as convert Iberia, which means we get some loyalty for the clergy and some prestige. And I am going to be concentrating these areas if I can, so I make it a little bit cheaper for me to core them up. And now my eyes turn to the mighty Mamluk Empire, which is going to be a part of us in a few moments. Wait, the Mamluks are still at war with the Ottomans? No way, dude. That's crazy. How come they're still at war with them? I thought that they would have finished that by now. So that means the Ottomans are winning against the Mamluks. Yeah, they are. They even recruited more units after. Holy snaps. That's an interesting turn of events. It goes to show, even with half of their empire gone, the Ottomans are still insanely OP. And look at that, boys. The French papal controllers have also called a crusade against the Mamluks, so it should be even easier for us to crush them now. I think I'm gonna use some of my influence, though. Maybe for the construction costs and national tax modifier, so we improve a little bit our economy. And speaking of, we probably should start building some more buildings around. Maybe some barracks would be a good idea. Okay, so by improving relations, we managed to get Hungary and Bosnia out of the coalition against us. We're going to do the same with Telje and Venice. These are the bigger nations left in the coalition. Once they're out, I'm sure the rest of the smaller OPMs are going to leave as well, the coalition. And for this particular war, I'm actually going to give my provinces to Aragon. Why am I doing that? It's because I'm such a nice, amazing leader. But no, the reality is that I'm giving all the provinces to Aragon because when I integrate Aragon diplomatically, I don't need to spend any mana points. It's just an instant thing that happens as long as Aragon has less than 40 cities. That means Aragon has to have 39 cities. Right now it has 25, so I can give them another 14 cities by the coastline of the Mamelukes that they use their admin points to corrupt, and I don't need to waste my admin points to do that. Of course, if you want to really min-max this, you can give them cities in Italy that you're going to conquer, in France, or honestly just any of the bigger, higher development cities if you really want to min-max this. Maybe I'll keep the 3 development ones for myself and I'll core these because they're obviously cheap to core, and I'll give them like 10 plus development cities in the Mamluk War, maybe in the French War, and so on. I've decided to give about roughly 5 provinces to Aragon from this particular war. We're snaking all the way to the province of Azrak and taking a little bit of money too from this particular engagement. As you can see, is not much of a coalition actually, despite taking so many provinces. And the reason we took Azrak is because we can actually release Syria from Azrak. So we're going to do Syria as well as Karaman. Not yet though. I kind of have a little bit of a issue with my diplo relations slots because I've got way too many subjects right now. So I gotta start integrating some of these bad boys. Now I also want to talk a little about your national ideas. Obviously aristocratic idea is not going to help us with our subjects. However, the reason I took aristocratic as my first idea set is because it does have a mixture of both military and economically focused ideas that will help us out, including this one extra diplomat that's going to be really great. But the more important reason why I took military idea set first is because we have a lot of extra military that we're going to have lying around that we can just invest in the first idea set quickly. The second idea set is going to be either diplomatic or influence because we do need to start actually have a diplomatic idea set to help with managing all of our subjects. And then the next one is going to be admin, so we get the policy between influence and admin, which also lowers the diplomatic annexation cost by another 15%, meaning it's going to be 40% cheaper to integrate subjects. And then we can double down on that by getting the papal legate, so it's going to be 50% cheaper to integrate subjects once we start integrating them. Now I'm going to finish this first part here. Don't forget to leave a like. I really want to do the second part and continue this all the way to 1836 so we can properly give a nice farewell to Castile/Spain. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed the video and you want to see more like this in the future. And I invite you to see me playing the second part of this campaign live on Twitch. Link in description to that particular bit. Love you all and I'll see you on the next one.